Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third episode of the Crosscut DP podcast. With me, as always, is LukasDMania. How are you doing?
Hey guys, what's up? How are you doing, Hushfield?
I'm doing pretty good. And
Nice.
yeah. So, how about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Like you said, been definitely hard grinding Street Fighter. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, it's been great, man.
Okay. So I guess as usual, we'll just start with some spoilerless recommendation for a couple of games that we watched the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on from there to the part where we spoil all of the fun for everybody.
Oh baby.
Yeah. So what are some of the recommended games that you have for the people this week?
Yeah. So since the last podcast, there hasn't really been a major event. So only ranking events, which are still pretty stacked occasionally, especially Asian events, right? All the Japanese players usually go to the Asian events, so there's still a lot of good matches. So there was Versus Masters, and I really liked Yang Mien there. He's a Singaporean, just like Xian, and he plays Zeku. And I've seen him a lot on Xian's stream. He always plays battle launches with Xian, and they play offline as well, I've heard. So yeah, I was really surprised by Zeku. He got pretty far, no spoilers. Honestly, all his matches were good, so I'll just say go watch some Yang Mian if you enjoy Zeku. Other than that, there was of course Head Stomper, the Swedish event, right? and we saw the return of a not retired, but he took a break, right? Infectious, the UK player. Even though he was playing, he was definitely playing the game. He wasn't going to tournaments for a little while, but he's officially back now, I'm pretty sure, and that was his first real appearance, and he did very well. He played Zeku, very solid. I've played him in battle launches. That man is a wall, very good, and very enjoyable to watch as well.
Yeah, his defense is insane, right? Because I've seen
really
him play Takamura a couple of times on Taka stream, and he blocks everything. It's insane.
You cannot dash on that man. He will jab and punish every dash you do, so it's very good. Then the grand finals as well, very good set. Then we had Saigon Cup, which was the Asian tournament, which was very stacked for ranking, like Fudo, Tokido, Jontakuchi, a lot of Japanese players were there, right? So for Saigon Cup, I would recommend the losers bracket round 3 of the top 60. And yeah, the losers quarterfinals as well, yeah, they were really good. And all of them actually, like I said, a lot of the top players, especially from Japan, were all there. So they might have all been matches in a major event, to be honest. So
I didn't watch that many CPT events the last week or two because I've been kind of sort of peering over the wall, and I've been doing a lot of MK11 Pro
right,
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been watching that mainly. But I did catch up on Street Fighter League, and I got a couple of recommended matches from that. They look very similar, both for week 4 and 5. So for week 4, I really recommend the first match, third set, as well as the last set from the second match. And same thing for week 5. So that's 4 games that I really, really recommend from the Street Fighter League. There's quite a bit of filler there, last couple of weeks, but there were also some really hype matches. So be sure to check those out.
And also, Street Fighter League is also all about smack, people got some of that good old smackerino, so always good to watch.
For Versus Masters, that's really the only CPT event that I watched all the way through. I was really impressed by this Chinese Yurian player called Tutu, who, he played really well, and he had some, I'd say encouraging results, so without spoiling, definitely check out his matches.
Very nice.
Alright, yeah, so I guess that kind of covers it for recommended games for this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, Mr. Lucas.
Oh, babe.
Season 4 when?
PS5 when?
We're gonna go there. It's gonna be so we're done. We play that game now.
So this is where I bring up. Oh no, our boy. He tweeted 2 days ago. I'm pretty sure. Tweeted, I fully understand what you like to want to new some Japanese English, but yeah, I fully understand what yeah, I started reading it and I was like, wait, what is this? I fully understand what you'd like to want to new information about SF5 new season, So I have a lot of requests about releasing SF5 content from World Warriors. World Warriors is the company that's in charge right now. Could I please ask you to wait a little longer? So stuff is coming, I'd say, right?
Oh yeah, so I like the last thing I remember was yeah, we've got a lot of content coming for season 4, and we're very excited to share it with you. For 6 months of waiting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so far there was like not even any information, right? And this tweet, at least, this tweet gives us information that there's gonna be information, and that's like honestly more than the Street Fighter fans right now are hoping for. So I'm pretty sure everyone's pretty happy with this. Like, at least he's saying there's something.
Are we really happy with this?
I am. Like, we've been kept in the dark for like 5 months, and at least now he's saying like, wait a little longer. I'm contacting these big boys that don't care about the community. Something will be happening. Like, whether that be a character, game changes, even just some quality of life changes, just any information. It's something is coming, at least some information. So that's like more than we've had in the past couple of months. So I mean, I'm happy that at least something got said about that.
Yeah, no. The thing is though, we always have to like beg for scraps, and now we get like the announcement of an announcement, and we're like, oh yeah, the game isn't dead yet. But seriously, like, I mean, get your communication together, man. It's
yeah,
it's
this World Warrior company really just, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're just like fully focusing on already like a new game, or if they're just fucking,
they have to be, right?
Excuse my French, like bad at communicating and have no PR team. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's definitely also, well, they probably have one, but they're only interested in like the Japanese market, and you know, the Japanese market, they have gotten like a really big bone in the last couple of months. Like, they got the Type Arcade, and you know, arcades are still
is true.
They're still a big thing in Japan, so like I guess they're kind of like, you know, still satisfied, although they probably are waiting for new characters.
I watch the Japanese streams, and I gotta say, definitely every tournament people be like, where's the new character at? Just like the English stream, so...
Okay. So, I guess that is definitely not the case then anymore. Speaking of new characters, like, I had put all of the marbles on Honda joining the cast. Like, and this is almost a year ago now. But he recently actually, because of course we got the Ono-san tweet with the Blanca doll on the Honda, which like a lot of people saw as sort of a soft confirmation. But he's actually also showed up in one of those Uniqlo ads that you can have before like your game start to get that like pitiful extra fight money.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't think he's in game yet. But they published like another graphic, and it's in the Uniqlo. Sort of communication around it. So it seems pretty much guaranteed that we'll at some point at least get Honda.
I hope not. I hope that isn't the first comeback character, if we're getting any more characters. But
yeah, like, I don't know, like, why they hate on Honda though? Because you gotta remember, I didn't really play Street Fighter 4. Like, dude seems fine.
First of all, he was kind of like the Blanca in the sense of he'll just do the full screen headbutts and like the stomps, which is like a noob killer. First of all,
is it?
Yeah, it really is.
Huh.
Like, you can literally mash that shit in the game and you will win against people up to like ultra plat level.
But what? The noob killer, he says. Oh my god.
Yeah, like, it's actually disgusting. Like, even like then, first of all, I don't really enjoy charge characters, and I feel like people that don't play charge characters really just don't like to play charge characters, while charge character players can enjoy other like normal characters with emotions or so. Like, I feel like while there is a lot of charge character players, I feel like the majority does not play charge, even if the majority is not like that with that big of a margin.
No,
so,
yeah,
like, I feel like
definitely right, yeah.
Especially with like all the Showdowns and stuff, right? So I feel like if they just bring out like a charge character, some people will be very happy, but the people that will be unhappy, me included, will just not even buy the character and just be like, fuck, dude, I have to wait for another X amount of months to get like anything I can touch, because
I guess that's definitely like, I hadn't really considered the input scheme, but that's definitely a big part of it. So yeah,
that's why I'm like, please no Honda. It's just because it's a charge character.
Okay, well, you know, it's kind of pure speculation at this point, so I guess we're still sort of hoping for a bit of an update at the Evo stage. That's where we're guessing it's gonna go, right?
I don't know, like, I don't know if you remember, but like next week there's the WSO like Open tournament in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember last month Logan tweeted like WSO Open registrations are open or whatever, and then he said like, and make sure you stick around until Sunday or whatever, some kind of like.
Oh, baby. Of course. See, the thing is with WSO, of course, they have these, it's kind of like co-run by Logan and, you know, the Street Rider. So, Matt Edwards, I believe his name is?
Yeah, Edward, yeah.
So, yeah, he's the Capcom community manager for the region. So, you know, it makes sense that, like, if there's news to drop, that, like, at some point he would be one of the people who gets to drop the news.
Yeah, so like when I first saw that, I was like last month, right? I was like, oh my god, are we actually finally getting something, even if it's just like some announcement? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of conflicts with Ono's current tweet, which kind of implies that we're gonna have to wait like at least like 1, 2, maybe 3 months till EVO or something or whatever. Last month I had like a shimmer of hope, but right now I'm like, yeah, there's probably not really.
Yeah, let's nip this in the bud. We're not gonna give any of our audience any more hope. All hope dies here. Abandon all hope. Ye who enter here. You know, that kind of.
Yeah, there's probably not really gonna happen anything. Other than that, there's Combo Breaker. What is a major that's gonna be in America like soonish?
Combo Breaker. Yeah, that's the big ass one.
So yeah, that's like another very big major. It's been a while since we had a big major, or like not a while, but like a little bit.
I guess technically Saigon Cup counts as a premiere, so.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it is. It's a premiere.
I see. That's why it was so stacked. Makes sense. So yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get anything there. I doubt it. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna expect something, it has to be EVO, I guess, at this point. Let's just put our hopes on EVO. Anything that comes before that, let's be happy with. I'd say is maybe the safest bet as a fan, not to be disappointed. Then again, they might disappoint us even if you put your hopes on EVO. So maybe just not having any hopes at this point is the best bet.
No, yeah. I actually like. I have 50 euros riding at a local bookie on the fact that we will be disappointed at EVO.
I definitely will take the bet on that one because I will be disappointed.
That is the safe man's bet, like for
sure.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it for news. There's still no news, so
yeah, no news.
Moving straight along to Street Fighter League, and you know, we've spent like quite a lot of time on this in the past few weeks. We're gonna zoom through that a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
In part also because, and I really like this from Street Fighter League's part, is that they keep adding more content. So they're publishing their own highlights now. Do you have these like top 5 moments of the week, the same as to what they do with the major tournaments, which are really quite nice. And actually, James Chen and Ultra David, they also are sort of hosting these weekly analysis videos though. Now, see, the thing is though, if they call it analysis, but it's really more of an extended recap. They just like,
it really is, yeah.
take you through the matches.
Yeah, talking about them.
So it's, don't expect to get like Sagem or high fight level analysis. That's not what that is. It's just a recap. But while we're on the topic of, you know, Ultra Chen, they are really well versed in like deep and good analysis. So if you haven't done that, and maybe you're a bit newer to the scene, make sure to check out their First Attack series. That's really good. So we'll definitely post a link to that below in the comment section as well. But yeah, so that's what they're doing. So I guess we don't really need to recap the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, so quickly, so basically here you can see some of the stuff. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you can see some of the standings at the start of week 4, and you know, there's really not much out of the ordinary here. Punk's team is in the lead, and then like actually IDOM's team is dead last, which is kind of also not a surprise.
More like no Laura, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So because I've been raving about Samurai, like we can call it what it is. I've been riding his dick a little on this podcast. Yeah, exactly. But we need to free this guy, right? So he's stuck there. Really like he really needs to carry both his captain and his other teammate.
No joke.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened again this week.
With this kind of format, there was bound to be like at least one team that's just gonna get guttered because one player is not good with any other character, right? And I'd say in this case it's IDOM's team, who basically just doesn't get his Laura like ever. So
Yeah, and so
and rightfully so.
That's kind of like what I expected to see here again. So the matchups for week 4 were Team Nephew versus Team Idom, Team Punk versus Team Jaywong, and Team NuckleDo versus Team Toy. And like we kind of already mentioned, many of the sets were a bit forgettable, but there were still some very hype sets there.
Definitely some good games, but a lot of forgettable ones as well, maybe.
Yeah, and like even the commentators or the players themselves are saying at this point, if your character gets banned, you just pick V-Trigger 2 Birdie. I mean, even Idom switched to V-Trigger 2 at this point. Like it was JB, it was Toy, it was Idom. Like basically, somebody bans your character, you play Birdie.
Yeah, all these players just rely on Birdie as their secondary, but I mean, a lot of them have not been looking too convincing on it, so...
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, like we sort of mentioned, Samurai had to, pull and sort of carry his teammates and his captain, and he did it, boys! He got the OCV.
He did.
So,
I watched that, yeah.
That was a really good set, so we're sort of out of the spoilerless section, because I recommended, like, Game 3, but of course at that point you see, okay, so he's keeping his team in there, and then you watch Game 4 and 5, and he just really refused to die. There were so many moments where he's so close to, dropping like the set for his entire team, and like he was really outclassing them near the end. So
yeah, he looked really solid. Always fun to watch. Very solid. He's not like gimmicky at all. He just tries to play the best he can, the most formulaic. You know what I mean? He can. It's just really good fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And then as you mentioned, Punk versus Jaywong, that was a really good set. It was really hype. Oh, by the way, that set, I almost died. Like Broly Legs, this guy, we already talked about his meme potential.
Talks. Yeah.
Oh my god, like Punk. So Punk eventually, spoiler. Why do we keep saying this? Of course we're gonna spoil shit. So basically, Broly Legs. So Punk wins.
I saw that clip. Yeah.
Broly Legs just going, Punk is a god. Touch my legs. I wanna walk. Oh, praise Jesus, I'm out of here. And like everybody in the studio just died. Like that was great. That was good stuff, my man. And then the last set of the week really wasn't even worth mentioning. Quick 3-0 for NuckleDo. And then weirdly enough, week 5 was almost a carbon copy of week 4. Both Samurai and Punk getting the OCV yet again. So basically Samurai carrying his team yet again, got another OCV, and NuckleDo was playing G. That was actually, that was kind of interesting to me, because we know he likes to play a few different characters, and
definitely
he might be gearing up to start playing G maybe in tournaments as well.
Yeah, I've definitely seen him play G. And G's like a lot of people, like the Japanese just wrote him off at first, but then Japan just got absolutely destroyed by G. The West obviously thinks very highly about G, and so do I. I think he's ridiculously strong right now. That V-Trigger is absolutely disgusting, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more G this season, and maybe NuckleDo's G in this case. So.
Yeah, exactly, and we will be seeing quite a lot more G in a couple of minutes in this podcast as well. But basically, week 5 was very similar to week 4, like lots of filler matches, but still a couple of hype ones. And actually, week 5 they were all OCVs. Basically, it was the last person bringing it all the way back for their team. So I think week 5 was pretty hype. Punk also, like, being Punk, doing Punk things, like shouting at his opposition, "Ain't no rollback offline. You got 2 warlords on your team, but we ain't having these online strategies."
Who were the warlord players? Was it Just a Kid?
It's I think it's Just a Kid and Shakote, right?
Oh, Shakote, okay.
Yeah, so versus Team Psycho.
No online strategies.
And oh no, see, that's the one. We had 2 captains playing their mains versus each other. It was Nephew's Colleen versus Jaywong's Manat.
Right.
That's the one, because like week 4 and 5 they were so similar. Got them mixed up.
Who won that match?
Well, Nephew won that. He brought it all the way back for his team.
I was about to say, because Colleen kind of fucks up Manat in my opinion, so...
Yeah, I think it was. The match was pretty close. So maybe like if he had to play Sako's Manat, like he probably wouldn't have won it.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, okay,
it's really a different style you have to play against Colleen as Manat. It's kind of the Dawson effect where you can't really just mindlessly throw your half/full screen pokes out because you'll just get V-skill mashed from full screen or parry. So you kind of have to play like the orb throwing game and just like be unpredictable with your buttons. Same with ball sims. So.
With the buttons.
It's pretty hard for the Manat player, I'd say.
Okay. But yeah, I guess that was kind of it. As you mentioned, you know, trash talk for the SFL is still on point. Hey, we had 5 OCVs in 6 matches.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? So, like we mentioned, so Items Team Storm, they were dead last at the start of week 4. Now at the end of week 5, they're in 2nd place.
Oh wow!
That is the samurai effect. Like this
really is.
Oh,
that guy's so good.
Yeah. All right, but that's about it for the Street Fighter League. We got another week of action starting tomorrow, actually. So looking forward to that. Baby. So next up, the CPT, the Capcom Pro Tour. So what's been happening on that front?
Yeah. So like you said, a lot of ranking events. With of course Saigon being the premier, you said. It's kind of what we expect, right? The American events, a lot of Americans, and the Asia events being pretty stacked with all the Japanese players, and definitely some very fun tournaments to watch, I'd say. For me personally, the Asian events are always very fun to watch. I love watching these Japanese overlords play this video game. So Northwest Majors, first of all, pretty forgettable. Yeah, who even won?
Actually, that was Gustavo. I mean, like 801 Strider.
Oh, I remember. Sorry, it was like a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really happy that he won that.
Yeah, and like you said, it was a bit forgettable, but then you remember his run and.
Yeah, it was forgettable also because like there's been, I mean, the CPT, there's just so many tournaments, even if it's just smaller ranking ones, right? So like in 2 months, there's definitely been like 6 tournaments on the CPT stream, I'd say. So it's pretty easy to like remember the runs or the people that won a certain tournament, but like forget which actual tournament it was, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. Gustavo, he's been from day one when everyone was like, G's not that good, especially Japan, and America was still like, is G good? You know, because Japan was saying he wasn't. Gustavo also always said G is broken. Do not underestimate this character. This character is busted, and I will show you. And so he did. He came back. He was an able god, right, in Street Fighter 4, always at the top, especially the top of America and the top of the world as well. Like always competed at the highest level.
Yeah, there's some very hype clips from him definitely. As well, right? Yeah.
But he's kind of been out of it. Not out of it. Been playing. You know, he had that Laura, but he was probably doing some other real life stuff. I'd imagine, not really fully focusing on Street Fighter. But now that he found that G, which resembles Abel very well, I'd say, right? He got that command grab, but also these other pretty disgusting mix-ups, and like I can see the resemblance. And yeah, he took the tournament. He tweeted, was very happy. I'm happy for him that he was able to take a tournament and show that G is as good as he was preaching. So.
Yeah, and that's sort of like the sentiment that's being echoed all through the FGC, right? Because, you know, Gustavo, 801 Strider, whatever you want to call him, like he's the guy's a legend, and like everybody's really happy to just, you know, see him shine once again.
Yeah.
And he, I mean, shining brightly too, because there was a top 8. He went 3-0 in all of his matches there, so he didn't drop a single game. It was just like 9-0 clean run, no reset title. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Yeah, and we will see the result of that when we discuss the CPT standings a bit later in the show. But yeah, like you said, Northwest Majors, and then I think you also had a look at the Versus Masters Asia, right?
Yeah, that was the tournament in Singapore. So, of course, Yen being the home favorites, got cheered on a lot. A lot of, once again, Japanese players, people from Singapore, China, like a lot of good players. Very fun to watch. We've already talked about the recommended matches, so one thing I want to mention is before the grand finals, which is spoiler alert, Bonchan versus Jin. Bonchan has a past of Mahjongg. The people who are maybe a bit more into the FGC might have seen his like interviews or something on Red Bull or whatever. But yeah, so.
What do you mean he has a past of Mahjongg? Explain.
So yeah, he used to work in a Mahjongg parlor and used to play a lot of Mahjongg. It was kind of like in the dark underground side of the world.
Yeah, exactly,
before
right.
he got pulled into fighting games by Daigo. So
could you maybe explain to some of the people who maybe not so familiar with Asian culture, like what is Mahjongg?
Mahjongg is like this. Is it Chinese game?
Yeah, it's Chinese. I think.
Yeah, so it's this game with what is it, stones, I guess, where you just play.
I guess you call them tiles, like Mahjong tiles.
Tiles, I guess, right? Yeah, with like 4 people, but it's kind of looked at as this like to put a like image, even though it's kind of incorrect, just like this Yakuza game. Maybe some people get the image of that, so like maybe a little from the palm, not too much, like necessarily.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely like it in many like sort of contexts. It's sort of regarded as being like it's always associated with gambling, right?
Yeah, it is. It's associated with gambling and that side of things.
Well,
so.
like I mean, in Asia it is. Like in the US, it's mainly associated with like old Chinese ladies, but in Asia it's associated with gambling.
Yeah,
Right?
it can be very normal as well in Japan, right? But there is like that side of things as well. And he used to be in that kind of business before fighting games. But yeah, so he's very good at Mahjong. He even plays it now on his stream occasionally and stuff like that. So versus Masters thought it was a good idea to, right before the grand finals, put the 2 grand finalists next to each other at a Mahjong table and interview them. So Shen has never played Mahjong in his life. I have no clue why, but I definitely enjoyed that interview because it was also Z doing the interview, which is always a good meme. So yeah, it was just a lot of Shen who would win at Mahjong, and then he's like, I don't know how this game works, Bonchan. Okay. So I liked it. But yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That was interesting. We got a timestamp for that in the description, I'm pretty sure. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'll try and slip some footage of that into the actual podcast footage, but then we'll make sure to add that in the description.
Yeah, definitely check that out if you're not really digging watching all the Street Fighter games. At least watch the Mahjong interview.
What Street Fighter? What is this? This is like the Mahjong podcast now, baby.
It really is. So yeah, then we had Head Stomper, of course, what we talked about earlier, the European ranking event. Very good tournament. I mean, nothing really to add. I'd say a lot of the Europeans went. Nemo went, of course, and won the whole tournament. Spoiler alert. Yeah, that's what I did, right? Very nice tournament, fun to watch, hype.
Yeah, next up we have Texas Showdown, and you know the amount of games there was completely insane. Like they had all the major fighting games, but then also like some of the ones that traditionally don't get the love they deserve. I'm looking at you, Killer Instinct. And they also had like a lot of anime games. Some of them were under like the Arc Revo banner. So yeah, it was a super stacked event, and honestly, I was a bit like surprised. Yeah, I thought it was interesting to see that, like, if you look at the winner side of top 24, like 6 of the 8 people who were still in winner side, they were all like people from the Street Fighter League. And then once you actually get to the top 8, the winner side bracket, there are only people from Street Fighter League, like, which is a bit surprising because, you know, we have people like Problem X there, but, you know, he was in losers.
Is it really surprising though? Like, the majority of the players are American, right? At the tournament, of course, with some exceptions, couple of Japanese players and Problem X, couple other players as well, but like majority of at least like America is there, right? Of like the better Street Fighter players, and Street Fighter League consists of the better Street Fighter players of America. So I mean, is it really that surprising to see a lot of the people who got drafted for SFL getting top 8 at this American tournament?
Well, if you put it like that, no, it's not surprising at all. But for like, I guess for me, because I'm kind of still like sort of stuck in the mindset of like, these are the names I know and the names I see on stream a lot, and then these are the names like maybe I don't know that well, and then for instance, if we do have a look at the brackets there, for instance, like a Toy, of course I know Toy, like you see him all the time, but it's to see him like on, you know, to see him on winner side, it's nice. Same with like Double Kevin, like taking out K-Brad. Like traditionally, if you ask me who's the big name, I'm always picking K-Brad.
I would used to say K-Brad, especially Street Fighter 4 is really good, but like Street Fighter 5, while he's been good, but like not at that top level, I would say. And Double Kevin, on the other hand, has been up and coming and really doing well the last couple of months, or just has been really getting better. So
and of course when we say
I expect a lot more from that guy.
Yeah, for sure. And when we say you know, lesser known names or something, as the Hypes will put it, or like the people from the East Coast, no disrespect. No disrespect.
No disrespect.
So yeah, hey, you know, Shakate getting 5th. That's very nice. He was very happy about that on stream. So he's talking about like being more interested and more involved in the tournament scene as well. Like, I don't know how much he'll travel to like really big international events like in Europe or in Asia, but he's definitely doing the ones in the US, and it would be cool if he could make a bit of a run, and like maybe we'll see another Mika Capcom Cup. So. And then we had Saigon Cup, right? Like a huge premiere in Asia, and that was another one of those Tokido tears through losers brackets.
Tokido!
Exactly right. And finally, because we were talking about this on the last podcast, we were talking about John Takeuchi, how he's been like a bit, maybe a bit disappointing since Liquid signed him, and finally we got another really strong result by him.
He was in winner's side as well. Like he always does his best. He always tweets how like, I got this happened. This is why I lost. I'm gonna do better and come back stronger and do my best next time. And he's always so positive and trying to get better and get good results. So I'm always like cheering him on.
Dude, like,
and since he was in winner's side and Tokido, let's be real, Tokido is gonna be in Capcom Cup pretty much with the points he got already. He's already semi-safe, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
I was definitely rooting John Takeuchi on. And funny thing, so were the Japanese people. I was watching the Japanese stream, and basically everyone was saying, especially when Tokido started making these comebacks, right? Everyone started to say like, Tokido, can't you just lose this once, please? Can you let him win? Let him win this time, man.
Oh, that's actually really nice. It's also a very un-Japanese thing to say. No, you always go 100%. But
everyone was definitely cheering little John-kun on. So.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. He seems like the kind of guy I would like to have him as in one of my classes. Like he seems like a really good student.
He seems a really good student. He's a very nice guy.
But yeah, so he took down the silver. Of course, Tokido being the greedy nom nom point monster, getting all of those. But yeah, maybe the one silver medal doesn't save him, but it might maybe give him the confidence boost that he needs to, for the rest of the season.
Definitely. And like we might have been like a bit negative about him, but like this isn't really a surprise either for me. Like
so wait, sorry to interrupt you here. Is this where we backtrack on John Takeuchi?
No, yes, maybe, but like I wouldn't call it disappointing his results, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even say that the last time. It's just like he's not been putting down these results like Tokido, like first, second, maybe like at least top 8 every turn, or like pretty much, right? Like while John Takeuchi has these top 8 finishes, he also has these like 33rd, like just like a little outside it once in a while, and like a little all over the place, right? But I definitely don't call this a surprise. Like he definitely has the skill to take it all, which he pretty much almost did, right? And it was very close against Tokido. So yeah, I hope he continues playing, continues doing well, and I hope to see him at Capcom Cup for sure. So.
Oh, yeah, it'd be cool. Like it's always nice to. It would be really nice to have him there.
And right now he's like 14, so.
Yeah, because we always need more Rashids, right? Because we're almost guaranteed to have both Gachikun is guaranteed, and then we'll probably have Oil King in there as well.
Yeah, and maybe JB, because JB has like 400 points right now as well because of the American tournament.
Yes, please, let's have 4 Rashids at Capcom Cup. I look forward to that. Let's do that. All right. Personally, I was super happy to see that Saigon Cup was running a Samsho 5 Special Edition event.
Right.
I feel like, the hype is really getting back to the game. I recently picked up Samsho 5 again. Or in my case, for the first time. But it's, the game is like really old already. But apparently it's very close to the upcoming Samsho game, which will be released, I believe, the 25th of June.
Yeah,
and we're super hyped about that. So
to me, Samsho, I think the game is gonna be hyped when it comes out, of course, but I think the game needs to be really, really good, really hyped, like amazing gameplay. Just everything needs to be super good, or it will probably die after Evo, in my opinion.
Honestly, even if, because I feel like it will deliver on those, like it's still a Samsho game, because it's mainly like neutral. It's about whiff punishing, and it's about a shit ton of damage. Like you get whiff punished twice, you die. That's it. That's just what Samsho's like. So, personally, I really look forward to that. I think it's gonna really help me with my neutral play. But yeah, whether or not like the reviews are favorable, probably the player base will shrink enormously after Evo.
Yeah, it has to, right?
I guess at this point is a very good moment to sort of plug our brethren. We've got a sort of an association with the Samsho Discord, so we'll definitely put a link down below. Make sure to check them out. There's over 1,400 people there, always looking for sets in Samsho, so there's definitely a bunch of people to play with. Yeah, and I guess that kind of rounds it up for the CPT events, right?
Yeah.
It is time for the CPT standings. I don't know, let's pull those up. Do you want me to shoot you a link?
No, I got it open already.
Oh, but see, this is the preparation. They call him LukasDMania, and that is why. All right, so okay, so are there any surprises for you? What is anything here that sort of stands out?
I mean, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, maybe JB, right? He's at 11th right now with 370 points, which is definitely no joke, right? Like, this might be towards the lower end near the end of the season before Capcom Cup, but it's definitely a very good start, right? Like, pulling first at the Texas Showdown, right? Netted him 200 points, and then he got like second at the online event, I'm pretty sure. The North America West online event, which is 100 points, which is it cheating? Who knows? You know, like these online events with the free points. So.
You know, do you know who actually got first at that online event?
I'm not too sure. I'll double check right now.
It's Gustavo. It's our main G. And that's the other big surprise for me. Well, surprise, like it's really interesting to see.
Oh, I just noticed. But
man's in fourth place. He is above Daigo right now.
Wowzers.
So, yeah, I mean, sort of like if he gets like 1 or 2 more top 8s or maybe like a top 3 finish, it's kind of hard to see him not make it to
yeah,
Cup.
Really is, yeah.
Especially because since he's educating us on the G, and like April's been such a clutch month for him, like getting first at both well, the online event and then of course also at Northwest Major, so yeah, he's doing really well. So
he is, yeah. Like, even though might have gone under the radar, like NorCal regionals like a while back, right? He also got 9th, which isn't top 8, but like still, it was like the most stacked tournament of the year, right?
Yeah, for sure. In fact,
together with final round, so
yeah. This might be interesting. You know, I'll post a link to this in the description as well. There's so Shoryuken. You know, the forums, they died obviously, but you know, the SRK data, they still have this sort of really nice list of all the Street Fighter V tournaments, and they give a sort of like weight to every tournament. And because we were talking about how stacked the mix-up was, but they, according to them, NorCal Regionals was even more stacked. So
yeah, he's doing well. I really hope to see him at the Capcom Cup. Like, he can always upset people. I don't want to play against G personally, but I don't mind watching him. It's pretty fun.
Dude, I really want to watch him. Like, he's
exactly.
He's got all that swag.
And Ada Strider, great personality, right? Very nice guy, and I really like seeing him play, and I hope he does well. So yeah, he really is.
So yeah, I guess top 3, nothing changes there. It's still Punk, Tokido, Problem X. 3 people who are definitely in form, even though Problem X like didn't like make any like major top 3s last couple of weeks. He's still very consistently making top 8. So you know.
Yeah, definitely. He's been going to like all these tournaments as well, right? And while, like you said, not being getting like first that many times, other than maybe like April Annihilation, it was, right? He's been going to these tournaments and at least getting like. He got 9th at NorCal Regions as well, and then he got top 8 at the 4 other tournaments he went to. So he's been scraping by these points, and yeah, he's in 3rd right now. I definitely expect to see him at Capcom Cup. Yeah, 1st and 2nd Punk. Like, yeah, that man is in Capcom Cup for 2020. Like, honestly, so
possibly.
And Tokido as well. These 2 players are probably like undoubtedly going to be there. I like all the other players, they're still also close, right? We need to see a couple of more premieres, I'd say, before we can really start like establishing at least the top like 20 of who's going to be there, right?
Yeah. And so I guess almost all of the big Japanese names are you know, in the list where we kind of expect them to be. So in 16th place is Johnny, who plays for Fudo, which is not to be confused with you know, the player Fudo, but it's the team that also has, of course, Fujimura. So and he's been doing really well.
Team.
Yeah, wait, is it Momochi's team?
Yeah, it's Momochi's team.
Wait, so yeah, Momochi, man. So
Momochi in season 1 and 2, he started like raising these young players, right? One of them was Johnny. We have Haku, which is a Bison player who was very young, like 16 at the time. Maybe he's like 18, 19 right now. And like someone else, who was it again? Like Otani was part of that as well.
Of course, the up and coming.
Yeah, and like first it was under no real name. It was just Momochi's Beshies, his like students. But then he found Fudo, and so like all these young players are under that name, and of course he's sponsoring or like has some actual other top players as well. Being not saying that Johnny isn't the top player under it, but like of course Fujimura. And Haitani as well. So yeah, so it's Momochi's team. Momochi himself is of course sponsored by Vitrix, but Fudo is Momochi's team. Maybe a bit confusing, but.
Oh no, it was fine. I ended up watching quite a bit of Johnny's stream last night. He's like a really young kid, right? Like,
he's like 23.
God, Japanese, like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I don't know, for the people that don't know, I actually used to live in Japan for quite a bit. I'm not like new to Japanese culture, but I still get thrown for a loop. Like, I look at this guy and like, yeah, this. But honestly, I feel like I get a bit of a pass on this, because I don't know if you've seen this.
Definitely,
this clip of who was it? It was James Chen, right? And there's this guy who, I think, didn't you mention it like on one of the other podcasts? Like, it's a sister, his mom, it's Asian.
Yeah. It was in the Tetris Championships.
That's what that was. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, Johnny, he, of course, he's really good, I'd say, honestly. But he's only been really to one tournament, so I don't know how many of the Asian tournaments he went, but I don't think he went to any. So he got third at final round, which was an amazing performance, right? It was the legendary run of Momochi there, and he got to fight against his sensei, you know, his team leader. That was the whole gimmick, because Fudo is Momochi's team, and Momochi taught Johnny everything. So
oh man, that was such a hype set too. Like,
it was.
I think at that particular event, I think the casters did an exceptional job, sort of like highlighting that narrative and sort of like the teacher-student thing. It was pretty hype to watch.
Yeah, he got third at that tournament, did amazing. But other than that, so like that netted him like 200 points because it's a Premier, so he's definitely up there still on the rankings. But since he's only been to like one tournament, honestly, we can't really say anything. Like, is he gonna beat CFN Cup? We don't know how many tournaments he's gonna go to, and then he has to do pretty well at those tournaments, right? So really nothing to say right now. But yeah, I like as a person and as a player.
I respect him as a person.
Yeah, I watch his stream as well. So
okay, yeah, and I guess like I think if we sort of look at the lower parts of the rankings, there's no real surprises there. Two names that still kind of pop up. Oh yeah, go ahead.
There's a surprise being Sako, and not as a surprise in that he's on this list, but that he's not higher on this list. Like, I feel like he's gotten very unfortunate, to be honest. Like, he's been going to a lot of tournaments, and I feel like he always plays very well and does very well, but he always gets like just short of like nice amount of points. Like at Saigon Cup, he got 5th. Like, once again, like, very good. This pretty stacked tournament. By the way, Saigon Cup is a ranking, but yeah.
Is it? It's mentioned as a Premier on their website. I was just sort of like boasting about, but apparently it's not Premier then.
I checked on Capcom Pro Tour and it says a ranking. So. But yeah, that's what I thought. So okay. But yeah, anyway, he got 5th. Then he got 5th at Versus Masters as well. Like, both are amazing placements, but like at ranking events, this just doesn't net you. It just gives you 10 points. That is so sad.
That's like, actually depressing.
He got 13 at the mix-up, which was very stacked with players all over the world, which is good, but and that gave him 40 points, which is okay. NorCal Region 13, who got him 40 points. So like, he's been doing well at all these tournaments, but I feel like he just got unlucky with like the points and just.
Yeah, but then again, like the way he's playing, are we really gonna be surprised if he wins like the next 2 events in a row?
No, like I hope to see him in Capcom Cup first of all. I love watching his wife stream, and I love him as well as a person.
He's gonna make it. Like, I cannot.
I hope so.
Honestly, I don't believe that there's not. He's gonna catch a break at some point. If you're this consistently good, you're gonna catch a break.
But yeah, for the amount of times we see him on stream and in top 8, he's surprisingly low is what I'm basically surprised.
Yeah, but you're definitely right. Like, I definitely would have thought he'd been higher on this.
Yeah, same.
I would have put him like top 10, but apparently that's not.
Yeah, like at least top 15. I was imagining, because like I said, been watching these streams and stuff. I always see him in the top 8. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's doing pretty well, probably decent amount of points, but yeah, he's getting a little unlucky maybe.
Exactly. And then like 2 names that I suspect might not be here at the end of the season. I think Terrence, I think he kind of peaked with that one win there. And like, unfortunately, Takamura as well, because, you know, we love our Belgian homeboy, but yeah, I guess he doesn't travel as much as other people.
I was about to say, some of these players as well is also just like, where are they gonna travel? Like maybe even the same with Terrence, right? Like, maybe if this guy traveled like to every single tournament all over the world, maybe he would do pretty decent, and maybe even make it in, like maybe towards lower ranks or whatever. But we just don't know as well, like who can travel where, all that stuff. So,
and basically, like, once you make it to Capcom Cup, everybody starts fresh, man. Like, if you make it in like first spot, or in like 31st, or through the last chance qualifier, once you're there, like, you've got just as good a chance to win it. So
really, there's seeds, but like everyone there is a killer. So
yeah, I think by the time you make it to Capcom Cup, that really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's all about the character matchups at that point. I don't want to play against this character or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I guess that kind of rounds out the CPT standings for this week.
Yeah.
And with that, we'd like to open it up to, a few other things now, because we've been talking about it for a while, but up until this point, the podcast really has just been, Street Fighter V Belgium, whereas, of course, there's plenty of other fighting games out there. So starting this week, we're going to include a couple of other games as well. And you'll definitely see that evolve in the coming weeks. But today, first thing on the menu, Mortal Kombat 11. So yeah, it's finally here, Mortal Kombat 11. Dalpha, you're, new to the podcast, so why don't you tell the people who you are and what you've been up to?
I'm Dalphanate, and recently I joined the clan Yuzu Dalphanate, and I've been a Mortal Kombat player since MKX. I did not play MK9, but I did play it for when MKX died, so I just went back to MK9 and see how the game played. But I've been a fan of Mortal Kombat for long, and I started playing competitive Mortal Kombat at the end of MKX, and only a little bit in Injustice too, but I didn't really like that game. But I had a few top 8s here and there, and the recent MK11 has been great so far. I made top 3 in the Brutality, and right now I think the game is great for now.
All right, good. That's nice to hear. What character do you play? Who do you main?
I'm playing Raiden right now because I really enjoyed him how he played in MKX. After Injustice, I went back to MKX because I didn't like Injustice 2, and I started messing around with a couple more characters, just to not get bored about the game. And I started playing Displacer Raiden, and I really, really enjoyed how he played, and I started taking him seriously. And when MK11, the reveal event came out, I saw a bit of Raiden, and I fell immediately in love with how the character played, and I just played him on release. I messed around with Geras at first, but didn't really like him. Then went back immediately to Raiden, and to this day, I'm still playing Raiden. So.
All right, nice. So, how does Raiden Because I wasn't really around for MKX. So, how is he how does he play in MKX, and how is he treated there? Is it very different from the way he plays now, or?
The thing with Raiden right now is from MKX you had, of course, 3 variations. You had one with orbs, one with a teleport, and one with crazy normals and crazy mix-ups with 50-50s and ways of getting to the corner and lots of damage. And the one variation that I played was with the teleport. And in that variation, he had a lot of pressure. He was very meter dependent, but could build it immediately back. He had great normals. He was always plus on block, or at least -2. So he was very safe. And with the teleport, he could teleport far, back. And he was just really strong in offensive and in neutral because of his projectiles and his corner carry and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in MK11, he still has those tools. He still has amazing normals. He isn't as safe anymore, but I'm completely fine with that that actually allows him to play less brain dead and more, so you can play more structured, you know, like you need to know what the hell you're doing at all times. And I'm completely fine with that. I actually feel better playing that way in MK11 than I did in MKX. All around, he's still kind of the same, so I'm pleased with how he plays.
All right, good. It's nice to hear. So, because the game's been out now, I think it's been 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, yes.
Yeah. So, I assume you picked it up on launch, and so how's the game been treating you so far? So, how do you like the entire thing, the package?
The entire thing, the whole cost for right now, I think this is definitely the most balanced game that NRS has released so far on release.
So yeah, tournament play is definitely something we want to touch on a little bit later as well. So but so far, you know, you've been enjoying the game?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say are, like, for people that are maybe a bit newer to the Mortal Kombat series, what are like the main differences between like this version of Mortal Kombat, MK11, and the previous one, between this one and MKX?
For right now, everyone said that the neutral is a bit more focused on the neutral play. As far as like in MKX, it was very, very offensive because you had the running button, you had crazy normals, and crazy ways of getting in, and they definitely toned it down compared to MKX and MK9. And the way they did it as well is they toned down the combo system. It's still there, it's just a little bit toned down, because they also explained Ed Boon himself saying, okay, we don't want to focus the combos as much anymore, and we want more clean play, like more neutral, more footsies, you know, we just want a bit of more traditional play. And it's also clean, you know, seeing one of those traditional plays really clean. And they weren't afraid to take this road, and so far I think it's great compared to MKX and MK9.
Yeah, I think that's always, like, as a fighting game enthusiast, that's what you want to hear, right? If you hear like the developers themselves sort of going on record saying like, yeah, we really want to sort of emphasize neutral play, you know, that's never bad for a game, I guess. So yeah, so what about, I assume you've been grinding away online as well, so yeah. How about the current meta? Like, what are like some of the strategies you see a lot? What are the characters you see a lot? How's that going?
The current meta for me personally, because I play Raiden, it's more of a reaction-based game. I react to a lot of moves. I walk back a lot. I walk forward and back, and every time I see a move, I try and react as best as I can to what the situation is. Right? Because you can't throw brain dead stuff anymore, as in MKX, you need better methodical play. You need to know what you're doing, right? Except for in MKX, you could just do shit and not be punished for it. In this game, it's a lot different, right? You can't play brain dead anymore. Not as much. There's still brain dead characters, Potato, you know, a bit of flowchart. But in the current meta is, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get fucked. Because if you don't know what the crushing blows you're using, if you don't know what kind of neutral you're playing, then you're gonna get fucked in this game.
Yeah, and this also sort of like echoes a lot of like the design decisions they've made, right? I think the game has quite a lot of like things in it that will really help like the top level players shine, and I feel like there's a lot of outplay potential.
The way there's a lot of tools in this game, but I see a lot of traditionals to the whole cast. Like I see a lot of universal stuff. I see a lot of characters having a fast mid or something to check with. For Raiden, that's back one. For Kung Lao, that's forward one. I see a lot of universal stuff, and I'm all about universal stuff because, you know, it's more fair to the general cast. So you can no longer complain like, oh, this character has this, why don't I have this?
Yeah.
Right? So universal stuff is great, you know, and they've also buffed the throw. Now it can actually consistently punish pokes. In MKX, for example, if you poked, it would go under sometimes. It wouldn't function as a mid anymore. So they've also buffed the universal option throw. They've made down twos a crushing blow on counter or high hitting moves.
Yeah, and there's
a lot of tools in this game that are, I would say, pretty good right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like the down to crushing blow, like that is so satisfying. Like this instant trip to the dentist, because I'm still more of a bit of a casual player, but like whenever I see that animation, it's just I feel it's so satisfying to land. Yeah. So like you mentioned, like a lot of like the universal stuff, like the way the normals function, but also like the whole flawless block mechanic. It's it's pretty tight. Like the window for that is really really tight. So I like that. I think we're definitely gonna see that a bit more in pro play as well.
I've seen some flawless blocking situations. I've been trying to lab it myself, but I haven't labbed it too much. Flawless block is definitely one of those mechanics that is gonna separate the pro player from the competitive player, right? Because if you're able to handle flawless block really, really well, you can get out of situations a lot faster. You can get your turn a lot faster. You can make them punish, like you can punish certain stuff. So flawless blocking right now, because it's still week 2, we haven't seen too much from it, but I have already seen a lot of mind games that come from flawless block, or people say, or you have this situation, oh, it's super broken, but then the next day they'll show the same situation, but then flawless blocked, and it's an entire different story. So flawless blocking is definitely the key to learn, but it's gonna take a long time because for a lot of flawless blocking situations, it's a one-frame link, and that's of course a bit tight.
Yeah, it's a bit tight, you say. I've been trying because I'm like, I'm running through all the tutorials and whatnot, and like I'm still stuck. There's this one thing, I don't know if you've done it. It's like one of the very last strategy tutorials with like Scarlet and Baraka. I think you have to like stand block and then like flawless crouch block and then like immediately punish, and like the link is just so tight. Like if my controller has been flying through my room multiple times. So yeah, but like I'm actually like the whole flawless block situation, I'm really happy it's in the game because like you said, it just gives such like a huge skill ceiling that I feel like maybe we'll see a bit more. We will see some separation between like the people who play the game competitively and the top level pros, because me coming from a Street Fighter background, that's one of the criticisms of Street Fighter V, right? Like every random scrub can like win against the top level players, and that wasn't always the case in the Street Fighter franchise. And like with the current iteration of the game, it's definitely like that. So I'm happy to see that MK11 is sort of taking that route of like, yeah, we want to give like the top level players like that extra sort of layer for them to shine. So yeah, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, they've also, like with the flawless block situation, people were complaining that you didn't have any good defensive tools. Even though you had for like almost 2 years, you had a armored launcher for an MKX. You had special moves, that have certain properties that are like quite fast, and you get a full combo from it. And depending what character, you could get a restand, solid knockdown, good damage. You were able to get loads of stuff, and between every gap, you were able to like armor. But they nerfed it. They nerfed it to the point where you either need to spend 2 bars, or it just knocks down, or it doesn't have armor anymore, or there were certain characters like Kenshi, for example, that was really, really good with his wake-ups, because his wake-ups were plus on block. And one of his wake-ups was +4, and it had a 360-degree angle. Even though it had a 360-degree angle, and it was covering 50% of the screen. And it was +4, he had a lot of range, and people were still complaining about the game not having defensive options, even though those like armored wake-ups were pretty broken as defensive options. So they got rid of the armored system, they just reduced it to flawless blocking. Flawless blocking is, I think, one of the best ways of being a defensive option, right? Because you're able to get out of situations, punish, and reduce chip even. So again, this is one of the best defensive options they've added towards the game.
So basically, the flawless blocking, for the people that are not aware of the whole thing. So you have to basically block an attack like in the exact frame it's supposed to hit you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like if you manage to pull it off, like it'll change the the on block advantage of moves. It'll allow you, like you said, to like it'll sort of reduce chip damage or eliminate it, and then like even it'll allow you to immediately reversal in places where otherwise you would not be able to, or
yes.
Okay.
Flawless block into up 2, that's a combo. But you do have to spend 1 defense bar and 1 offensive bar. So the game will give you a reward for flawless blocking, not being able to take chip damage anymore and chasing the block advantage, or not getting pushed back as much. But again, the game says like, okay, you have these 3 options. If you want to have more, you actually want to punish it like legitimately, like a full-blown reversal mode, then you're going to have to spend a defensive bar and offensive bar. So you're able to do up 2 and get a free combo.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, because if it was meterlessly, people could just do full combo punishing you after every single gap, and that would have been a bit too broken. So people now still have to take in meter and offensive meter and defensive meter into play.
All right, fair enough. We recently had like one of the first legitimate tier lists for MK11. Tier lists, they're always sort of a bit of a contentious topic, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're not like a top level pro, you can win with anything. And so you said MK11 is one of the more balanced versions of the game, especially on launch, we've had, right?
Yes, definitely. Right now, I think the game is on a good spot, but always needs a bit of change, right? Like, it's never perfect but right now it's still good. So a couple changes here and there will make it good. But for now, right now, you definitely have the upper characters, the mid characters, and the bottom tier characters. That's for sure.
All right. So so it was actually Sagem who's been he's been going bonkers, man. Like, he has so much MK11 content on his channel right now, and he published a tier list. And what I really like about the tier list is that he doesn't just like place the characters there and that's it. Like, he gives a sort of a short but detailed breakdown about like what makes each character tick, like what are the main characteristics, how do they get in, what makes them strong, what makes them weak, that sort of thing. And so he sort of placed 5 characters like as the best characters in the game right now, but he said like every single character on here is more or less viable. Some are just a bit more viable than others, but he mentioned Garrus, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Sonya, and Aaron Black as sort of like a top 5. These are the things you want to play. Do you agree with this?
I would say Sub-Zero is kind of Sub-Zero is in this spot where he can compete with the top level characters, but I don't know if you can put them next to Aaron Black and next to Garrus. I don't know exactly. Like, it's not controversial putting him in the highest tier or like the tier below it. It's not he's kind of in that weird spot, like just between that 2 spots. So it's either the upper tier or the tier below it. So that's my opinion.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, and as far as the others are concerned, like I've been watching quite a few MK11 tournaments, and like it's always these characters that you hear. They always mention Garrus, they always mention Aaron Black, they mention Sub-Zero's like mix-up capabilities. I was a bit surprised, perhaps, by Scorpion, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Because you feel he's up there.
Scorpion is one of those characters that you cannot whiff anything, and right now, for how the game is, people are still new, they're still finding how they need to play. And of course, whiffing stuff, going for risks, those kind of stuff. Scorpion excels in that, punishing those little mistakes. The full screen teleport, for example, is a full combo launcher, goes into extremely big damage. If he uses the burning spear, it's a special move. It buffs all of his spear moves, even like the get over here, back forward 1. And teleport, for example, and he does like at least 300 damage every time on an amplify teleport. And if you do not want to take that damage, you're gonna have to spend 2 defensive meters, and which is costly, right? It's costly. It's a risk you can take, and it's not that Scorpion is bad up close. As soon as you use those 2 defensive bars, He has great mids. He has great moves to like check you with or knock down, or if you're like mashing. So I think he kind of excels in that neutral play, like being able to punish you, having great advancing normals, and just controlling you. He doesn't necessarily have 50-50s. He does have back 3. It's a quick overhead that knocks you down, but he doesn't get a lot from it, just a knockdown. And it's just a quick way of saying like, look, I have an overhead. You have to take this in consideration. And he has a low that he can special cancel into the teleport, which can go into full combo, of course. So the low is a higher damaging output because you can get full combo out of it. But back 3 is definitely one of those normals that you can get hit by and say like, look, I have an overhead, you have to take this, and now you gotta guess every time. So I think, Scorpion is a solid character just all around. Yeah, and he just excels in neutral. And that's what people are scared of for right now.
Okay, definitely makes sense. And, it's always good for the game if the poster boy, is actually decent to play. Because that is something that Street Fighter has been struggling with a bit lately. Ryu being such a meme and so on and so forth. All right, so let's have a look at some of the pro play then. So we've already had quite a few Mortal Kombat 11 tournaments. A lot of that has been happening over on the East Coast. Like Team Spooky really, really stepping it up, with the NLBC action. They were also in charge of the Napdown Clutch stream, I do believe. Like, I don't know how much you've been watching, but do you have like any spoilerless recommended games, things that you've seen so far?
I have watched NLBC. I watched the qualifier tournament for the summit. I also watched, I don't remember what it was. Was it NLBC? The one with Samij, Dragon, and Sonic Fox?
Yeah. I think that was the 164.
Yeah, that was NLBC. And of course, Bring the Brutality I watched. I haven't really watching too much play. I did watch Naptown. I haven't really been watching too much, but I've definitely been seeing some high pro, like some high level of gameplay. What I would recommend watching is Happy Pow versus Beyond Toxin. Noob Saibot versus Jackie. Happy Pow being one of the favorites in the NRS scene right now. He's an EU player and a French guy that was really, really solid in MKX, went to Injustice and became even more famous with playing Flash and just showing the world that EU is more capable than America, because America has always been saying like, oh, EU is free. But then Happy Pow came in, a lot of American players that said that EU was free, and he's just showing the characters off, Jackie and then Noob Saibot from Beyond Toxin. Beyond Toxin was also a quite a famous player in MKX. Didn't do too well in Injustice 2, but he has an extremely good Noob Saibot, and you can just see Happy Pow and Beyond Toxin play against each other. Some really good gameplay and really exciting as well.
All right, good. Thank you so much for that. I have one set because, like, obviously I'm not too familiar with either both the game and the players, but I really enjoyed an NLBC set I watched between Samij and I don't know how to do grrr. I assume people just call him Grr or something. Like he sounds like a very angry man. Well, so basically, was playing was on the Gyros, and Samij was playing Katana.
Yeah.
So yeah. As far as spoilers are concerned, if that concerns you, turn the shit off right now because we're gonna talk about the games. Specifically, this one I just mentioned, Grr versus Samij. It was really fun, like just from a viewer experience, a really good set, because I know that Garrus is supposed to be like the stronger character between the two, and he took the first game like pretty convincingly, and then when it came time to shall we fatality, like what's gonna happen here, he just I don't know if you've seen Garrus's forward walk. but it's like so confident, and he just like walked Samij all the way to the other corner and let him drop to the floor. I think it was a bit, PM. And then of course Samij, he said, oh no, it went full crazy mode. He reverse swept him, like took 3 games in a row, and of course first chance he got, he walked him to the other corner, and there was a bit of smack talk going on. So I always enjoy that. So I really recommend that set. It was a good set. But yeah, as far as the other tournaments and things are concerned, we also had Northwest Majors, which we referred to in a previous podcast. That one was, Chris G took that one down, and not to disrespect Chris G, because he's a multi-game champ, he's very strong in his own right, but
very strong.
Yeah, but I don't know, like the field, I didn't see like many of the well-established like NRS killers. Like, you know what? Maybe I'll just send you the link. I don't know if you've watched the bracket or something, because you might recognize some of the names that I'm missing. But like, to me, like I'm not seeing any Sonic Fox. I'm not seeing like any like Tweedy or Burrito Voorhees or So.
Well, Chris G is one of those players that he is well known in a lot of community. I've seen him play multiple games and plays multiple like big events, right? And if he did play MKX for like I think the first year, if I'm not mistaken, but he did do pretty well against in MKX at least. Let me see the semifinals. But Chris G, of course, isn't an NRS player. Like, of course, he's gonna have these fundamentals from other fighting games, but I think NRS games are a bit on a different, you could say, meta game than compared to Street Fighter or Dragon Ball Z Fighters.
He comes from like doesn't he come from like a Marvel or a CS2?
Marvel vs. Capcom, I believe.
These tag team fighters that like really sort of made him famous, right?
Yeah, it did. But he came to NRS in MKX. He also played and he also played MK9, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. But Chris G also played Injustice 1. He also plays like I believe a top 8 with a low tier character, I believe. So he is good in NRS games, but I don't think he can make it too far without like finding or without getting taken down by one of the bigger players. But of course that's no shame, because he's one of the multi fighting game players that has more placements than probably everyone in the NRS scene except Sonic Fox, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm seeing like Shuduki Ding in the bracket, and Shuduki Ding is an NRS player. He went 3-1 against him. I'm not necessarily like shook by that, because Shuduki Ding is a great player, NRS player, but he has left play a long time ago from MKX. But he's coming back this time in this in MK11, but right now he isn't on his top form. But he won against him, so that's good to see that he can still play against one of the better players in our scene. And I'm seeing Misty Snacks. He is also a great player. He was also a very, very good player. But I'm seeing Too Easy, for example. Too Easy was also a great player in MKX. Chris G played against.
Mm-hmm. He took down second place, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Chris G won against Too Easy, which I'm kind of surprised by, because Too Easy is known for being a really, really good player in the scene. Not mostly online. He was an online warrior. He did do an offline tournament, but that was a long time ago. But Chris G winning against him is pretty good. I'm surprised.
All right. Yeah, and then of course, like, we haven't mentioned him yet, but we have to mention him. The big furry, Mr. Sonic Fox. Yeah, of course, he's been taking victims left and right with his Aaron Black. I think he has probably already more mercies than many other tournament players will have in their entire MK11 careers. Yeah, and it's actually gotten to that point where in any of the Team Spooky streams, I do believe, there's a bounty on his head. So any player that can just knock him from winners to losers bracket, bam, they get a free Kwamba Obsidian. Same thing if they mention to like play him from losers out of the tournament, another Obsidian waiting for you. So I like that. It's gotten to that point already.
Yeah, they're really showing from like, okay, if you do take him down, you have a massive reward, a big ass bounty on your head, because he's also the most wanted in the FGCs right now, especially in NRS. Sonic Fox has been a champion for almost 6 years, from MK9 to MKX for 2 straight years. He did play Injustice 2, but he didn't do that well in Injustice 2. He was more focused on Dragon Ball Z fighters, which he did take the EVO champion. Like he became the EVO champion in Dragon Ball Z. So, and now coming back to MK11, he's reclaiming his throne to the NRS scene, and he's definitely showing it right now.
Yeah, for sure. Because but that's also sort of like his skill set, right? Especially like the first couple of like weeks and months, like he just adapts to a new game way faster than any of the other players. And
very quick.
Yeah, so yeah, it'll be interesting, you know, if we like look ahead at the Summit of Time, where he of course will be. I'm really hoping that many of the other players that have been invited and will eventually make it there, I hope they'll be sort of on the level where they can really, you know, challenge him. Because it'd be kind of sad to see that be a bit one-sided. Because most of the matches I've seen with him so far really have been one-sided. And then, like, even if another like a really big name within the NRS scene steps up and, you know, they play a set, and you can see it's a good set, but then it's still like the patented LukasDMania, a close 3-0, you know. So
Close to
yeah. So yeah. Also, I love the fact that there's a guy playing NRS at a very high level, but he calls himself Semi-Evil Ryu. All right. So yeah, maybe we'll round it out. Looking ahead at some of the big tournaments coming up. One of the biggest FGC events of the entire year, of course, is always Combo Breaker. MK11 sitting comfortably in first spot as far as signups are concerned.
I believe 750 when I last checked, like 750 entrants, which was the like biggest entry so far from every other fight, which is huge.
It is a ton of players, so yeah, I think that event is definitely going to be super stacked. It's going to be hype as fuck. But then yeah, we also have the Summit of Time, and like these summit things, they've been going on for a while, right? Could you tell the listeners like what should we expect from a summit event?
A summit event is not necessarily the top players from all over the world, because the summit is of course a gathering of all the good players from that scene, but it is mostly voted by the people. Like you have the top, I believe, 8 people, or I don't know exactly how many people are guaranteed a spot to go into Summit, but the Summit chooses his first 8 players on their own. So they say like, okay, these are the top 8 people from the world. Okay, they're guaranteed a spot to the top.
This time around, it's the top 10 players possibly. I think it's because it's already on Smash.gg.
I believe so, yes, because they had to vote in 2 other players from the Summit of Time. They had a little voting, which LukasDMania and I believe Tweedy were able to go. Were able to get in by votes. Samij and Happy Pow, they were able to qualify by playing a tournament. Samij won the NLBC one. He didn't win it. He got 3rd, but because Dragon and Sonic Fox were already qualified for getting into Summit, the next in line, you know, the one that wasn't qualified and was the highest placed, you know, 2nd, 3rd, or 1st, were able to get qualified. And Samij got 2nd because he lost to Sonic Fox in finals. And then Happy Pow did like last Friday or Thursday. I don't remember which day it was. But Happy Pow was able to win against Beyond Toxin in the set, qualifying himself for the Summit of Time. And he is not the only European that is going to Summit, but it's like Foxy Grandpa, Happy Pow, and I think that those are the only 2 Europeans that are going to the Summit of Time.
Yeah, maybe we can, like, Tekken Master, we can kind of, like, claim him for Europe, I guess, but...
He's from the Middle East.
Yeah.
He's kind of from EU, but he's also going to the...
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Who takes it, Summit of Time?
My boy Happy Pow. My boy Happy Pow.
All right, gotta represent the EU here. Okay,
yeah, definitely.
I respect that. Okay, Dalpha, I believe that kind of covers what we wanted to do with MK11. Is there anything else you want to share with people out here?
Go watch Bring the Brutality. I was able to put on a show for the stream, played some good matches. Support the local scene if you have some. In EU, America, doesn't matter where you are. If you have a local scene, try and support them. Give the NRS scene some love, play, and have fun. That's all it matters.
That's a lovely sentiment. Yeah, and I can only echo that. Like, that's basically why we're even doing this, right? You gotta like support your local scenes. I will make sure to post a link to the VODs of your tournament run in Bring the Brutality. Yeah, and thank you so much for showing up at the podcast, man. Really appreciate it.
No thanks, man. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so next up, we've got a bit of a new fragment coming up. I recently got very interested in what all of the numbers were for all of the fighting games played on Steam. So I compiled a little Steam chart fighting game, chart for lack of a better word. And with me here is Sabre to discuss our findings. Sabre Wolf, say hi to the people at home.
Hello, the good people at home.
Mm-hmm. So how should we know you? Because of course we know you as the Shao Kahn of the Discord.
Well, I'm kind of known as the guy who plays the most amount of fighting games, I guess, on the Discord. Like, I play a lot of them, basically. And I post tech to Twitter. I think if you know me from somewhere, it's probably from there.
Mm-hmm. Because I know I introduced you as Shao Kahn, but really you're the professor, right? You're spending so much time in the lab every day, so...
That's what... It's only the FGC Belgium Discord that calls me that, but yeah.
But you're involved in quite a lot of other communities as well, right? So could you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so I am one of the admins of the Geralt Discord for Soul Calibur 6, and I also run the Kano and Shao Kahn Discords now for MK11.
Oh, I didn't actually know you ran the Kano one as well.
Yeah, I initially ran like 6 of them for all the characters that interested me, but then gradually as I realized, like I didn't want to play Jax, I didn't want to play Collector, so I started like giving away ownership of the Discord to someone who's more invested in the character. But Shao Kahn and Kano are still left at this point.
So you like yourself some Aussie Blanca balls? I can okay.
The Blanca ball, I'll take it. It's more about the parries and the command throws that I'm in there.
All right, makes sense. So I guess we're here to have a look at the charts for this week, right? So maybe let's pull them up. How do we want to do this? Do we go top to bottom or bottom to top?
If we start at the bottom, I don't think there's a lot to talk about. I mean, these are all games that are, if not forgotten, I mean, it's not surprising they're at the bottom, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Honestly, you're absolutely right. If we start bottom to top, like, I think we will bore ourselves to death before we get, 2 minutes
exactly.
in. Exactly. All right, so top to bottom it is then. All right, so I guess it's no surprise that Mortal Kombat 11 is still by far the most played game on Steam right now. You've been investing quite a lot of time in it. We already mentioned it a little bit. So, how's the game for you right now?
Well, initially the PC launch was kind of rough. Not nearly as rough as MKX. That was a disaster on launch. Dude, it would not run for a lot of people. Many people in MKX could not get past the loading screen, like the menu screen, for like 2 weeks.
Oh, what?
Like,
that seems like a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, there was a meme back then of like main menu simulator 2015 or something like that. It was pretty bad.
Oh my goodness, that's horrendous. But luckily, MK11.
It was not nearly as bad as that. And then there was a bit of a issue with the game crashing. That's been fixed for me at least. The only thing that remains now is online tends to desync sometimes, and we're of course a patch behind still compared to the consoles.
Wait, that is still the case? You're still a patch behind?
Yeah. Well, not just PC. That's also true for Nintendo Switch.
Okay. Yes, the Switch people. But honestly, like I should not like make fun of that at all, because it's very important, right? It's as Wim would call it, the mobile lab. Like you need to have it on the same version.
It's not. We're not a balance patch behind at this point, so that's not the issue. But they've toned down the difficulty and the requirements of the character towers a fair bit, and that's not live on PC yet. And as far as I know, it's also not live on Switch yet.
Oh, okay. Well, but you've obviously you spent quite a lot of time in the lab, but you also spent quite a lot of time playing matches. We see that we still have about like a player population of around 12,000 people. So I assume it's very easy getting matches right now, right?
Yeah, it is. It does not take very long at all. At least for the game modes that I've tried. I can't say that I've tried them all. But I mean, the ones that matter, like ranked and casual matches, I mean, it doesn't even take a minute to find a game, so that's good.
Oh, okay. And so how's matchmaking been for you in general, actually?
I've mostly played lobby matches so far. So in terms of actual matchmaking, if that's what you mean, I've really only gone up against complete newbies who just spam teleports and stuff. And of course, they beat me sometimes, especially if it's a character I've never faced before. So, you're not ready for the gimmick sometimes. Yeah. But you start to see, you can tell immediately, right, if someone knows what they're doing or if they don't.
And if we look, ahead to the foreseeable future, like I guess we can assume that MK11 will remain safely in the number one spot for the coming weeks. And
for the coming weeks, for sure. And I think it will remain like top 3, top 4 easily for the next 2 years.
Definitely. Like we definitely we don't really see it falling out of like top 4 because what's the 5th spot? Oh yeah, that's MKX. So it's never gonna like fall way down there. So yeah. And then like now that we've mentioned the top 5 anyway, 2nd spot will be Tekken, 3rd spot will be Street Fighter 5, 4th spot would be Dragon Ball FighterZ, and in 5th spot MKX. Is there anything here that sort of like surprises you, or is it to be expected?
No, that's to be expected, I think. The only thing I would mention is that a few of those MKX numbers are probably still from before MK11 was launched. So I would guess that if you went to look at the live numbers, you're only going to get like 100 or 200 people playing MKX, I guess. You're not going to get the 900 number there.
Okay. Yeah, but it's a bit surprising that the number is still growing, like the 30-day gain. That's yeah, a
lot of people went back to the game in these last couple of months just as a way to get back into MK, knowing that MK11 was coming.
I guess that's kind of. I think we can definitely see that as well, because even like Mortal Kombat 9 still has like a really high number, actually, like inordinately high. So maybe we'll see those fall down a bit in the future. And then from 5 to 10 spot we have Soul Calibur 6, Dead or Alive 6, Blast Blue or Blaze Blue or whatever, Mortal Kombat, and then I think 10th spot would be Unist, which is kind of shrinking again. But I guess we can see there's like a really big separation between like top 5 and then the number 6 spot and Soul Calibur. And Soul Calibur, that's a game that's really sort of like near and dear to your heart, right?
There are I like most fighting games, or I wouldn't play them, but Soul Calibur is really a game that I invested heavily in, and that I wanted to do well. And the funny thing is that if you ask the competitive crowd, like the actual competitive crowd who have been playing since Soul Calibur 2, 3, 4, whatever, they think that Soul Calibur 6 is and still is a massive success. Because apparently they're used to the game, being this niche and being like sort of on the outskirts of the FGC. They're used to it, and like the issues that people have with Soul Calibur 6, like allowing custom characters in ranked and stuff. Apparently, that too has just always been a thing for the series. So they don't mind at all.
Okay. How has the game been for you? Because like you said, you invested heavily into it, right? So
yeah, I think I have over 300 hours on it, or maybe just about 300 hours, which is a lot for me, considering the game has been out for I think 8 months. And I put in like 900 hours into Street Fighter over the course of over 3 years. So 300 in 8 months is kind of big. But the game, I still think it's very fun. But the issue I have now is when you go online, it can take like at least 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on the time of day and the day of the week.
So
to get a match.
Oh, that's actually that's kind of big already. So would you say that like because the average players here for Soul Calibur 6 is currently at around like 350, 360. So that population is already too small to sort of like have a good matchmaking. Do you think this game already qualifies for sets through Discord, or how does this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the community is still there and they're very active. They organize weekly tournaments and stuff. At least for Europe, I don't really follow the NA scene that heavily. But there's an online EU tournament that usually happens, and then there's a monthly that's been happening as well lately. So the community is there and the competition is definitely there, but you need to like organize it, if you know what I mean. You need to make sure you're available that day to participate in the tournament, and then you can network with these people and add them on Steam and stuff. If you're just in it to play ranked, there's, at this point in my opinion, that's not really where the game is at.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess like outside of top 5, just hopping into like matchmaking is probably not going to be a very worthwhile experience anymore.
I mean, I've heard people definitely say the opposite, who say they're saying for me it's fine and stuff. I don't agree with that necessarily, but the game is still healthy, and the competitive players are still going strong. Kayane announced a tournament in Paris for Soul Calibur just today, so
that's cool.
They're still doing stuff.
Yeah, so what about the pro scene for the game? Because I know like the game is supposedly like really big in like France, and then like they have this rivalry with the US, right?
Yeah, I think those two are the biggest scenes for sure. There's also a scene in Singapore, like they have a player that travels to a bunch of events. It's kind of crazy. He plays Cervantes too, which he's definitely one of the weaker characters on the roster.
Seriously? The pirate?
Yeah. Yes. He is just too honest.
An honest pirate, you say?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
He does not have... every character needs to have something that makes you... In every game, right? Every character has to have something that makes you go, that's absolute bullshit. How is that in the game? What the fuck do I do? and he does not have something like that.
Okay, yeah. That's no good. That's no good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Basically, you'd say still relatively healthy, but you do have to know where to look as far as Soul Calibur is concerned.
Yeah, I think you need to join the Discords, join these weekly events, and like online, I mean, and get these people in your friends list. That's how you can still have fun with it. That's how you can still have meaningful matches, in my experience. Because if I go online right now, I'm either gonna be matched up 90% of the time with a Sprout, which is like a rookie. It's like a new account, or someone playing an alt or whatever. or one of these guys that's like, top 5 with his character, thousands of matches played, and regardless of which one you get, it's not really a whole lot of fun. Like my impression is that there's not a whole lot of intermediate players left, which I think I am. I'm pretty intermediate at the game. And you're not gonna find many intermediate level games in matchmaking.
I guess that probably is true for like a lot of the games that are a bit lower on the list as well, right? Sort of the
I would guess so.
The meat and potatoes, like they leave or they return to like one of the more active games, and you're left with the extremes on the scale. Yeah. All right, thank you so much for the extra information on Soul Calibur. So if we just have like a quick scroll down the list, is there anything, scrolling down from Eunice, then we have like, Guilty Gear, USF4 still up there. Is there anything here that surprises you, or?
Well, it's not surprising at this point, but DOA 6 really has no business being that low. I mean, it don't get me wrong, it's how should I put this? The developers and the publishers did it to themselves, But the game, if they had, gone about it more smartly, that game could have been pulling in like 500, 600 players per week easily at this point.
Yeah, exactly. You made some posts about this as well on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
But I think the case of DOA 6, because it's such an interesting case, it's something I'd actually want to get into a bit more in depth, but maybe like in a future episode or something. But yeah, that's definitely a bit disheartening to see like so close to launch already down there.
Well, I mean, if you release wedding costume DLC before your game has lobbies patched in, that's a very telling sign of, how you as a developer or a publisher see your franchise. I don't think they take it very seriously competitively at all, despite what they're saying. Because they're saying the contrary, but it's not.
And honestly, because the thing with this list, this only shows the fighting games. But if I would like when I'm doing the research on like I just type in Dead or Alive and I see Dead or Alive has this many players, but there's like this other like sort of spin-off Dead or Alive game where you just prance around the beach in very alluring costumes that has like 10 times as many players. I mean, of course, if all the thirsty fucks are over there, then nobody's gonna play this game, right? So. Yeah. I guess that's definitely an issue. I was surprised and maybe not surprised to see that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 pulls in like more than double the amount of players for MVCI.
It's not surprising to me at all. And the launch aside of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, it's like most people agree that the art style of 3 is better. They agree that the roster is better. You can have 3 characters on your team, which allows for more freedom than only having 2. And I think the combos are a bit more, like execution-wise, I think you have more freedom in 3, but I'm not too sure about that.
All right. Well, I guess those are some very compelling arguments for the Marvel scene to stick around there. And I guess you also still have like the really diehards who say, we only play MVC2 and, stuff like that.
They will be on Fightcade, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I'm actually glad you mentioned Fightcade because like once we get down to sort of this territory, like you have KOF 2002, KOF 98, but the viewer numbers here on Steam, like I think they're only like maybe a quarter of what the player numbers are on Fightcade. We're looking at you, Brazil.
I couldn't tell you for sure, but I think that's probably true.
Yeah, actually, last time I checked, I think both KF 98 and 2002 had around 200 players each on Fightcade, so that's actually quite a bit more.
At a single time, you mean, or unique users?
Oh yeah, this is like at a single time. That's like unique users.
Then the numbers will be huge.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. I guess that sort of wraps it up for about this edition of the Steam charts. Is there anything like if we look forward to? Because I assume next edition is going to be in about 2 weeks' time. How do you think Mortal Kombat's gonna evolve? Is it gonna keep shrinking at this alarming rate, or?
All fighting games shrink at that rate, so the rate is not alarming.
Okay.
But what I did want to mention is that I think it's kind of surprising that MK11 did not pull in more players than that, because it's not that much more than what Soul Calibur 6 had. Soul Calibur 6 launched with like 14,000 players, like peak numbers, not the average, like what you see here. But no, if I were to hazard a guess, I think in about 2 months' time, I think those numbers will like settle, like stagnate at around 4,000 to 5,000. I think.
Okay, that would actually still be pretty good.
That would be very good.
Yeah, if we were to play higher lower, I'd even say that for like the PC numbers, it's lower. And that is, of course, one very important thing that we do have to stipulate here is these are Steam chart numbers. This like the numbers being played on PC, and as we all know, like a huge part of the FGC is still just on PS4.
Yeah, especially for like we've mentioned BlazBlue a couple times. Those numbers are down here at the bottom, but. Especially in Europe, I don't know what it's like in the US, but the anime FGC is very much on PS4 in Europe.
Ah, okay, that's good to know. Honestly, I would not have guessed that. I would have like bet my bottom dollar on them being like a PC crowd.
I mean, that's what I've heard from other people in the Discord. I don't really dabble in anime, you know this.
Yes. Like quickly wash your hands,
Yeah. Those stains don't come off.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Okay, but yeah, maybe some people can let us know down in the comments below. But yeah, so there you have it. We do expect Mortal Kombat to shrink back a little, but we'll probably see it settle soon enough. Unfortunately, we don't really have any numbers for PS4 because PS4, like, they don't really share them. Or even like if you can get to the numbers, they're like really not very trustworthy. They're just the amount of people that have like played the game once. Doesn't mean active players, so we can't really get those stats. All right, Sabre, is there anything you would like to say to the people at home?
No, not really. Thank you for listening, I guess.
Alrighty, okay, and with that, we bid you adieu. Sabre, thank you so much for helping shed some light on these numbers, and we'll see you next time. And yeah, that means we have one part left, and that is the part with the CFN names. So we've been asking you to send in some stuff. We got a couple of nice ones. I found one which I, being a Nekoma player, found particularly poignant, being the Saltsui no Hado. Apparently there's like a whole bunch of them with Falk. Two that, one very obvious, Falk you. But then I kind of enjoy the naughty Falk me daddy a bit more.
Very nice, very nice.
And then, honestly, I was just like, nobody sent this in. I was just very curious, like, how many people actually would have the string teabag in their username? So I went on the, what is it called, rival search on
rival search.
So that is basically a thing. There's a rival search in Street Fighter. Maybe you've used it. You've probably used it once every like 2 months when there's a mission for you to use it. Like, and then,
I don't even read my mission.
Oh my god, what? Oh, this man, rich in both LP and fight money.
I have no fight money, but it's just don't look at those missions.
You disgust me, sir. So basically, I was wondering, like, how many people would have a teabag? Because I think there has to be like a teabag 69, right? Mm-hmm. So I put in the string teabag, and what did I find? And apparently, there's a bit of a correlation of your fondness of teabagging and your skill in the game, because there are no people that have the word teabag in their username that are any higher than like super plat. Like not a single one. There's one player in platinum who's got a teabag in his name. There's 2 in gold, 2 in silver, and then a shit ton of people in bronze and rookie.
That's pretty funny. You have Sandbag though, which is like an ultimate grandmaster or warlord from Korea. But that's Sandbag, not teabag.
Okay, that's maybe we could look that up next time. But yeah, so basically there is a teabag 69. He's in Rookie League and he plays Ken. Like, come on, seriously.
Nice.
Way to be a meme. And finally, rounding out our mission to catch them all, I found a Vagicarp.
Vagicarp.
Which, I chuckled at that one.
So I got a personal one that I actually saw on Daigo's stream the other day.
Oh, seriously?
So,
hit us with that.
Yeah, so Daigo found a Dulcet player. Now, what does he see in the name section? It is unehara deigo. So Daigo, it was on stream. It was a really funny clip. I advise you check it out if you have some Japanese knowledge.
Oh,
but
sick. Hey, could you link that? Like I kind
I
of
will.
link that.
I'll look for it. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
And it was basically So Daigo saying the entire time like, I really don't want to lose this. This fucking fake. I don't want to lose against this fake Daigo.
Yeah, but there's that's the thing, right? Like his name, you get this many imitations. I once I was pretty early on in like my Street Fighter career. I think I was somewhere like in Super Bronze or something, and I matched versus a Japanese player, and it was laggy as fuck. So it could have actually been a Japanese player. He was playing Ryu, and he was called Daigo the Beast. I'm like, am I playing Daigo Smurf? Is he playing Ryu again? It's like, but then
That's what Daigo was saying as well. Like the character, like he was playing Dawson. Like at least pick Ryu or Guile or exactly like Akuma, like something resembling Daigo a little bit.
Yeah, no.
But no, that man was playing the most unorthodox character.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I guess that rounds it out. So if you do come across any CFN names that you'd like to share with the world, hit us up and we'll add them in here. Good. That leaves us I guess with maybe a preview to the next podcast.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I guess for the coming podcast we'll be we're still sort of like figuring out what we kind of want to do with the format and how many times we want to do it. It's this time I think it's already been 3 weeks since the last podcast. That's a bit much. That's I think we're sort of gonna clock in at about once every 2 weeks.
That would be good.
Yeah, just
good frequency.
Been a bit crazy at work lately. So Mr. LukasDMania, anything you want to share with the people at home?
Season 4, please tell me when it's happening. Just let me know. Just go through all the Street Fighter files you can find. Just give me anything, man.
Okay.
I'm just standing dry here, please.
Man's going through a bit of a dry spell. So I heard through the grapevine that you're a bit of a filthy casual these days. You kind of like playing with the blocks. Is that correct?
I've been really digging those Duplo blocks, you know what I mean? Like old school Minecraft.
All right, so actually we picked it up with a bunch of people from FGC Belgium because apparently we're all a bunch of filthy casuals.
Yeah, I started, and the group leader that I am, everyone just follows my ass.
Yeah, you're a trendsetter, Lucas D trendsetter. That's or maybe it's Lucas D Minecraft.
Lucas D Minecraft right now, honestly.
Is there anything you wanted people to know about Minecraft? Anything they should do? Any tips you have for the newbie Minecraft player?
Don't mind straight down.
Okay, that is very good advice because that's exactly what I would have done. Like I'm booting up this game for the first time tonight, and I was gonna dig straight down, to be honest. So that's not a good idea.
No, because there's always a chance that you'll fall into lava. If you're gonna dig straight down, you want to stand in the middle of 2 blocks and dig left, right, so that you're always standing on the edge of one of the 2 blocks, so that you can see if you mine lava beneath you.
You know so many things. You're like the opposite of Jon Snow.
I'm honestly fucking tryhard in Minecraft.
You know what? I can respect that. I can totally respect that. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out again.
Thank you for preparing and just hosting the podcast and all the other sections as well, right? The Mortal Kombat and the other segments we got on this podcast. So yeah. Yep. Thank you for that, and happy birthday once again.
Oh baby, you better believe it. We're gonna have a party later on tonight. A Minecraft party, but we're not digging straight down. No, baby.
There's fireworks. I'll set off some fireworks for you.
Oh, seriously? Shit.
Yeah.
You get me the primo fireworks. I'm worth it.
Oh baby.
All right. So thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
See you guys next time. Later.
All music for the Crosscut DP podcast has been provided by Cut Records. Check them out at cutrex.com.